Welcome to whofooadventures. You're back for more. You must have watched part 1 video from the Sedona Vegfest.
Unless you happen to stumble on this video without seeing part 1, Dr. Joel Kahn, MD. If that's the case, go back and check it out.
That's right. You know, there's an interesting statistic I learned from this speaker.
What?
That there is the livestock in the U.S. produces enough poop to fill an entire Empire State Building every single day.
An entire Empire State Building? Like the one in New York?
Yes.
Like the one in New York City?
That's right. Every single day of the year.
I did know that because I heard Nil Zacharias say it.
Well, then you're head of the audience. What should they do now?
I think I edited that part out because his talk was just too long to fit everything in, so I had to start chopping stuff out.
So why do they want to watch this video,
Because
guys?
he's full of wonderful information. You know, when we started our whole food plant-based journey 10 years ago, we were oblivious. We had no clue about the environmental impact as a result of animal agriculture, which he does a really good job explaining. Well, let's get to Nil.
Our next presenter is Nil Zacharias. He runs the One Green Planet. It's the largest digital media platform focused on food and sustainability. He has a popular podcast, which you can sign up for on your smartphones or your computer, called Eat for the Planet with Nil Zacharias. And he's co-author of the book by the same name, Eat for the Planet, which is, I can highly recommend. It's really good reading. He started his career actually as a media and technology lawyer and worked for over a decade in the digital media and online advertising space in various business and operational roles prior to founding One Green Planet. Without further ado, let me introduce Nil Zacharias.
I think most of you understand that the planet we live on is in trouble, and that most of the species on the planet are also in trouble, humans included. But how often do you stop and think about why is it that we have gotten to the point where, according to a recent report that was released by the UN, we have about 12 years before catastrophic climate change takes effect. So what happened in the last 200 years that brought about the massive destruction of our natural environment to the point where we are maybe 12 years away from it reaching a point of no return? Just in 200 years. And it took us only another 200 years to reach 7.5 billion people. So that's a huge growth in population within a very small amount of time in the past 200 years. Second thing that happened in the last 200 years is that we went from hand-driven methods of extracting natural resources from the planet to machine-driven methods. So we basically experienced the Industrial Revolution in the last 200 years as well. We went from a species that was largely living in balance with the natural world around us to suddenly being able to use technology to exert complete dominion over our natural resources. Dominion over animals, plants, the forests, the oceans. So in the last 200 years, we went from using fire and axes to chop down forests to now using forest-eliminating machines that can basically destroy an entire forest within a matter of hours. We went from a fisherman on his little boat with a fishing net going out to sea to find some fish, to using multi-million-dollar shipping vessels equipped with the latest military sonar technology capable of pinpointing the precise location of fish in the oceans and dredging up everything from the ocean floor, whether it's edible or not. And lastly, we went from a blade in the hand of a butcher in an idyllic little farm, possibly with a red barn, to mechanized butchery, milking of animals in farms. We've started extracting natural resources much faster than those resources are capable of replenishing themselves. At the heart of this entire destructive farming system is this thing called factory farming, or industrial animal agriculture. The reason that's such an important point is because 99% of meat, dairy, and eggs that you buy in the US and that people consume in the US come from factory farms. You will find that it's connected to everything from deforestation, to ocean acidification, to air pollution, water pollution, soil degradation, as well as species extinction. How is it possible? How can one industry cause so much damage? Well, it's because we are 7.6 billion people on the planet today. And we rely on this system to feed us. And we're going to be 9.8 billion, nearly 10 billion people by the year 2050. So if we want to keep feeding the world a meat-heavy diet, we're going to have to double our meat production by the year 2050. And what's going to happen as a result of that? If we double our meat production, so if things are already bad, we're going to double meat production, there's no way we're going to be able to feed the world without destroying our planet's life support systems. So let's start with water. Today, the situation with water is that 23% of our fresh water on planet Earth is consumed by the livestock system, while nearly 700 million people lack access to clean water. Only 2.5% of water on planet Earth is fresh water. And we can access only 1% of that water because most of it is trapped in the glaciers and snowfields. So basically, we can only access 0.3% of fresh water. And out of that, basically a quarter of it is going to farm animals and the crops that feed them. Not only did we start to selectively breed animals and genetically modify them to ensure that they grow fatter faster, we also started to pump them with hormones and antibiotics. And another thing we did was, in the case of beef cattle, we said, instead of feeding them a diet that's natural to them, which is grass, we're going to feed them soy and corn. 47% of soy in the United States is consumed by farm animals. And 60% of our corn is consumed by farm animals. Both soy and corn are very water-intensive crops. You need large amounts of water to grow those crops. So much so that one beef cow in its lifetime will consume about 180,000 gallons of water purely through its feed. As of right now, the human population is 7.6 billion. You know how many farm animals on planet Earth? 20 billion. So we've got beef cattle crammed in these factory farms. Not only do they need to be hydrated, you've got to keep things somewhat sanitary at these farms. And I say somewhat sanitary because it's in the producers or the processors of meat, their best interest to make sure that these animals don't get sick. So that's why they use antibiotics to keep them healthy in some ways. In fact, 80% of all antibiotics on planet Earth are consumed by farm animals. So we use antibiotics, but that's not where it ends. We also need to keep the place somewhat sanitary so that these animals don't get sick and diseased, because the moment they get sick, well, you can't sell their meat. At least theoretically you can. So you use water to keep things somewhat clean in these farms. You've got to wash the blood off the concrete floor. You've got feces. You've got grease on the machines that are used to slaughter these animals. And I know so far I've been talking about beef, but beef is not where it ends. Dairy is no better. A dairy cow is born to do one thing, is to produce milk. They're hooked up to machines. Obviously, this process of being milked constantly, of being impregnated and then being milked, produces a huge strain on the metabolism of the dairy cow. So they need to eat a lot of food. They also need to drink a lot of water. So you know what's going to happen? You're going to get infections. There's going to be pus and blood. And so dairy farms are actually equipped with automated flushing technologies that basically flush water to keep the dairy parlors somewhat clean. Because you have, literally spilled milk and a lot more than that in these dairy farms. 1,800 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of beef, 2,000 gallons of water to produce 1 gallon of milk. And the average American consumes about 60 to 100 gallons of water per day for all their indoor activities. And the average American who's trying to be healthy maybe drinks about 1 gallon of water a day. So you have a family of 4, indoor water consumption is 400 gallons. That's everything indoor, so that's, washing your dishes, doing the laundry, flushing your toilet, brushing your teeth, showering, whatever. All that just amounts to about 400 gallons a day. If that same family of 4 ate a diet high in meat, dairy, and eggs, their indirect water consumption through their food shoots up to 4,200 gallons of water. When it comes to grain, 40% of the planet's grain is fed to farm animals. 40%, while nearly 1 billion people go to bed hungry every night. We're growing food to feed our food. And in the process of growing food to feed our food, we end up wasting a lot of calories. So, to give you an example, if you take 100 calories of grain and you run it through an animal through its lifetime and convert that into whatever the end product is, you have a tremendous amount of calorie loss. So let's take 100 calories of grain. What you end up at the end of it is only 40 calories of milk, 22 calories of eggs, 12 calories of chicken, 10 calories of pork, and 3 calories of beef. 97% of calories are getting wasted in the process of converting that feed into the end product, which is meat, which we like to eat. So that's why all the grain is basically getting wasted. So much so, the world's beef cattle consume enough calories to feed 8.7 billion people. And as I said earlier, if you were paying attention, we are 7.6 billion people on the planet today. So the world's beef cattle consume more calories than the entire human population on planet Earth today. The future of planet Earth is being fought multiple times a day with every food choice we make. It's being fought on our plates. Because we have the power to change this.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check the description for pertinent information about each video or related links. And if you haven't already subscribed, you can do that too to make sure you're notified of all our new videos. Until next time, do you whoo-foo?